This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Israeli soldiers will not face criminal prosecution for the death of an elderly Palestinian-American man who was stopped at a checkpoint, dragged from a car, bound and blindfolded, and then left unresponsive on the ground overnight after apparently suffering a heart attack due to his rough treatment. Palestinian leaders had called for the Israeli soldiers that detained 80-year-old Omar Assad at a makeshift checkpoint in his West Bank hometown of Jiljilia to be prosecuted in an international court. Israel's military advocate general, the Israeli army's chief legal body, said in a statement on Tuesday that the soldiers involved would face only disciplinary measures. A Palestinian autopsy found that Assad, a former resident of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the United States, had a history of heart problems and suffered cardiac arrest caused by stress. Palestinian officials attributed this to him having been manhandled by the Israeli soldiers. Assad died in January 2022 after Israeli forces cuffed his hands with a zip tie, temporarily gagged, blindfolded, and left him on the cold ground because they claimed he had refused to show identification when they stopped him at a checkpoint while he was driving home late one night, according to an Israeli military investigation. The death toll from an overloaded boat that capsized in a remote part of Nigeria's north-central region has risen to more than 100, police and officials said on Wednesday, in one of the worst such disasters in recent years. The wooden boat was ferrying people to Kwara State across a river from neighbouring Niger State after a wedding ceremony when it capsized on Monday night. Kwara State Police spokesperson Ajayi Okansami told newsmen on Wednesday that 103 people had been confirmed dead. It was not immediately clear how many people were in the boat, but some residents put the figure at more than 200. Alhaji Bologi, the emir of Patigi district, which includes the villages from where the passengers had lived, said he had received information that 150 people were drowned, while 53 had been rescued. Fearing abductions by armed gangs on the roads, many Nigerians use boats to travel. Overcrowding and poor maintenance are responsible for most boat accidents on Nigerian waterways. Former US President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty on Tuesday to federal criminal charges that he unlawfully kept national security documents when he left office and lied to officials who sought to recover them. Trump's plea entered before US Magistrate Judge Jonathan Goodman in a federal court in Miami set up a legal battle likely to play out over coming months as he campaigns to win back the presidency in the November 2024 election. Experts say it could be a year or more before a trial takes place. Trump, wearing a blue suit and a red tie, frowned and leaned back in his chair but did not speak during the 47-minute hearing. He was allowed to leave court without conditions or travel restrictions, and no cash bond was required. Goodman ruled that he was not allowed to communicate with potential witnesses in the case. Trump's aide, Walt Nauta, who is also charged in the case, appeared in court alongside Trump but will not have to enter a plea until June 27th because he does not have a local lawyer. He too was released without having to post bond and was ordered not to talk to other witnesses. Supporters chanted in quotes, "We love Trump," as his motorcade departed the courthouse at 3:55 p.m. Roughly 2 hours after it arrived, it was the second courtroom visit for Trump in recent months. In April, he pleaded not guilty to state charges in New York stemming from a hush money payment to a porn star. Trump is the first former president to be charged with federal crimes. Ahead of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to Washington, the Biden administration is pushing New Delhi to cut through its own red tape and advance a deal for dozens of US-made armed drones. Two people familiar with the matter said India has long expressed interest in buying large armed drones from the United States, but bureaucratic stumbling blocks have hampered a deal for Sea Guardian drones that could be worth $2 billion to $3 billion for years. US negotiators are counting on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's White House visit on June 22nd to break the lockdown. Since the date for Modi's visit was fixed, the US State Department, Pentagon, and White House have asked India to be able to show progress on the deal for as many as 30 armable MQ-9B Sea Guardian drones made by General Atomics. Two sources said Modi and Biden are also expected to discuss co-production of munitions and ground vehicles like armored personnel carriers. While Modi is in Washington, the sources said spokespeople for the White House, Department of State, and the Pentagon declined to comment on the negotiations. China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang has urged the United States to stop meddling in its affairs and army its security. In a phone call with Antony Blinken days before the US Secretary of State is expected to visit Beijing, Qin told Blinken to respect China's core concerns such as Taiwan and stop interfering in China's internal affairs and stop harming China's sovereignty, security and development interests in the name of competition, according to a statement from China's Foreign Ministry on Wednesday. Blinken meanwhile stressed the need for communication to avoid miscalculation and conflict and said the US would continue to raise areas of concern as well as potential cooperation with China, the State Department said after the call. If Blinken's trip goes ahead, it will be the first visit to China by Washington's top diplomat in 5 years and the highest profile visit during US President Joe Biden's administration, which has clashed with Beijing over issues ranging from Taiwan to trade and spy balloons. The Chinese Foreign Ministry is yet to reveal information on Blinken's trip, but last Friday, the US officials said Blinken would be in Beijing on June 18th without providing further details. That is the size of top accolade global news update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy midweek.